You're listening to Investify, preaching financial independence and assisting investors to achieve a more flexible and free lifestyle through smart financial planning and real estate investing. If leaving the corporate world and jumping into this thriving industry is what you desire, tune in and listen to stories of like-minded individuals who made the leap to financial independence. Equip yourself with the right tips and tricks to start your real estate journey, making active or passive ventures that are highly profitable and rewarding.
What's going on, everybody? You are listening to Investify. My name is Craig Curelop, aka the Fi Guy, and I'm here with my co-host, Miss Allie Garced. What up, Allie?
What is up, Craigie? How are you?
I am doing fantastic, and now that I know that you are an imposter, because your name's not even Allie.
Oh, that's so funny.
It's Alexandra. Who the heck goes from Alexandra to Allie? If your name is Alexandra, it's Alex, not Allie.
Hey, tell my parents. You know what, Craig? I actually know of like 6 Alexandras that go by Allie, spelled A-L-I. And guess what?
There's not 6 of you?
It's not. I haven't cloned myself 5 times. You know what the weirder fact is? They're all gay. I have a random theory that every Allie spelled A-L-I that is short for Alexandra, that automatically means you're going to be gay. But it's so funny that like you and I were texting just a couple of days ago and I showed you my cribbage board. You're like, what? Who's Alexandra?
Yeah, I was like, this isn't even yours. This is your crazy stepsister or something, your evil twin. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, Allie, Alexandra. I feel like today is like the day of names because we've got a funny named guy on the show. I mean, he's not funny. I mean, I love his name, Donato. It's like a very cool name, but every time I say it, I just want to like dance to a song, or I want to have an Italian accent, or I just can't say it with just like the way the English name is pronounced. So yeah. Is there anything you want to say, Allie? I feel like I was just ranting for a minute there.
I like Donato. So Donato and I met at BPCon at the military breakout. And I was like, man, you are working with Drew and you're working on something really cool. So that's what we cover in this episode. And it affects everyone. You know, anyone can benefit from it, whether you're an agent, a wholesaler, inspiring to be an investor, everybody in between. It's something really, really cool. So stick to the end to listen to that and go to their website, see how it could help you at a very moderate price too. You would think that this would be more expensive.
Yeah, they're you know, he didn't come on to sell us anything, by the way, right? Like he shared his story, and just he's a young dude, and he just continued to take action, and he backed it with money, he backed it with his time, and he's got a really strong purpose. And so definitely listen all the way to the end, because we kind of get funny at the end, and there's some comedy there at the end, and. Also, if you like this show, please don't forget to leave us a rating and review on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you're listening. It helps us out tremendously and helps us get more bad guests. By bad, I mean like bad guests, like badass guests to be on the show. So, with that being said, let's bring on Donato Callahan. What's up, everyone? I got a super excited announcement to make. The Fi team is throwing their first ever house hacking intensive. This is going to be in Denver, Colorado, April 5th to April 7th, and we are going to dive deep in house hacking. You are going to learn with a bunch of other future house hackers or current house hackers themselves how to analyze markets, how to find a deal in a neighborhood, how to find the correct house, the correct layout, how to run the numbers, how to build your team of agents, of contractors, of property managers, you name it. And we're going to do all of this together in person in Denver. That's going to be just part of it. It's going to be even better when we actually go to houses in Denver. A couple of my personal house hacks that I've already done, some people on our team's house hacks that they've done, as well as some that are on the market right now. So you can see the before and the afters of what a house hack might look like. This is going to be the first time we throw this event. I don't know when we're going to be throwing it again. Make sure you go to thefiteam.com/workshop to buy your tickets. Tickets are just $297, but if you use the code INVEST25, you'll be getting 20% off, and the whole ticket is refundable when you do a deal. So that's right. So go to thefiteam.com/workshop, put in the coupon code INVEST25 to get your 20% off. And then when you do a deal, when you close on your next deal or your first deal, you will be getting that back 100%. Hope to see you guys all in Denver. I can't wait to meet y'all in person, and I'm super excited for this event. We'll see y'all there. Donato, welcome to the show, my friend. How are you doing today, dude?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Did I say your name like really weird?
Oh, no, Donato works great.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, the full thing is...
That is a unique name.
Yeah, it's... I don't get it too often. The full thing is Donato Antonio Aloysius Callahan. So it just gets weirder and weirder.
Oh my gosh. Is your birth certificate on like a poster board or something?
They have some Post-it notes that just keep extending the signature line. Yeah, it just goes off the page a little bit. Yeah.
I don't know. When I see your name, I just think of that song like Domo Arigato, Mr. Roboto. Yeah. So sorry if I call you Domo Arigato on this show. But anyway, that's
an honor and privilege. Please. That'd be great.
Yeah. No, man, that's funny. We're not going to take it all the way back to the creation of your birth certificate, but we do want to take it back to how you first heard about financial independence and when you made that switch.
Absolutely. Financial independence for me really started in January of 2020. So the year or two before that, I'd gotten this scholarship in college that basically made it easy for me to get out debt free, and I was starting to save money. And around January 2020, my parents said, "You've been saving this money, time to put it in the stock market." That's what we did, working for, John Deere, been doing it for 20 years. That's the path. So I said, okay. And I put my first money in the stock market until 2 months later, in March 2020, I lost half of it overnight when COVID hit. And it was a pretty quick, what the heck is going on here? And I asked the question that I know you guys have asked, is there a better way? And so that's what got my mind really turning on thinking about financial independence.
I love that, man. Well, not that half of it went away, but I do love that you were just able to, like everyone thinks that they can make a bunch of money in the stock market. I think it's like the Warren Buffett effect, where like people saw Warren Buffett make a lot of money in the 50s and 60s, like our parents, like our grandparents did. And then they told our parents to put money in the stock market. They saw a moderate amount of success potentially because of like inflation in the 70s and then like, 80s, the high bond yields and all that. And then like us, we're like, dude, the stock market is kind of like old school, and it's a good way to retire if you want to retire when you're 65 and not work till you're dead. But we don't want to. We want better than that, right? And so what came, like? There's a million other asset classes besides stocks, though. So like, did you go immediately to real estate or?
Yeah, pretty much right away. I started looking at different ways to create wealth and how to control it and manage it in a way that is independent of other people's influence. Because the more I read, I came upon this very large realization when it came to traditional means of retirement and financial independence. And that really started looking at how typical people do it through 401ks or your IRAs or your different employee or retirement funds. Any retirement avenue that is tied to a certain age is not for your benefit. It's for your employers. Then as soon as they figured that out, that if you're telling me that I can't access this money, and if I do, they're going to take away half of it, unless I wait 40 years to touch it, then they don't care about my personal goals, my financial independence. They don't care about what I want to do. They're incentivized to keep me in the situation until I'm 65. So I cannot double down on that.
That's exact. Oh, that touches perfectly on a podcast that I just listened to. I don't remember which one it was, but related to jobs or careers that have pensions. Everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, not many careers have pensions now." Some people are like, "Ooh, get them," that has a pension at the end. But you're taking yeah, you're taking a reduced income because of that pension that you won't get until you do the full amount. And anything can happen where you might not end up doing those full 20, 30, 40 years. So it's just those golden handcuffs.
Absolutely. And like I think about pensions and it's like, okay, I like to talk because I was working for the Department of Defense as a geospatial analyst. Like before I retired about 3 months ago, we'll get into that, all that. Before I left, I was working there and the people were, I've been here since 1985. I had this nice government retirement, government benefits, and I really grilled people saying, what are your benefits? Give me numbers. So how much do you put away in this account every year? Okay, and when you're done, when you retire, because you're telling me what you want is to retire, what is the number that you're taking out? They're like, okay, maybe $3,500 a month. Like, okay, you're telling me that you are going to work for 37 years to get $3,500 a month when I can buy this property and I can show you with receipts that it's cash flowing me $2,200 a month right now. And it took me 2 years to fully do it. So all in all, I would sit down with my coworkers and say 37 years for $3,500 a month or 2 years and $2,200 a month. Do you see how much faster you can get to your goal, which you're telling me is retirement, if we just choose a different vehicle to get there? And it's almost shocking when you see people have that, holy crap, I need to change right now. And it also hurts when you see people kind of walk up to that realization and they kind of say, nah, that's not true, not for me. And it just kills you on the inside.
Do you have the cojones to tell that to somebody who's like 60 years old and had already done like 35 years in this pension job or whatever?
Oh, I did it.
You did it. Wait, you actually did it?
Absolutely.
That wasn't like in your head?
No, that's a real conversation.
What did they say?
He was like, this guy, legitimate. He's like, I've worked 17 years. I'm like, okay, great. And are you close to retirement? He's like, no. Okay, well, when are you going to retire? And he told me, I've mentally prepared to do another 17 years. And I had a heart attack in that second. Like, are you kidding me? And I'm like, well, what, like, is your goal to retire? Are you trying to leave? And he's like, yes. Like, so here's the way that I've done this. Here are the numbers. And when I was finished explaining this whole thing, the only thing he said back to me was, well, we have different priorities. No, we don't. You're just not willing to change to achieve the priorities you're saying that you want.
Wow. That is crazy. People will go to all extents to justify, that the way they've done it is the right way, or it's not that bad. And so I think it takes a real humble person to be like, oh crap, I did mess up. But I think that's so true. I remember it's funny, right? So like you start with, okay, put 10% of your money in the stock market and you'll retire at 65, right? That's kind of like what we were taught growing up. And then if you follow the financial independence movement and all, it's okay, like save 50%, 60%, 70% of your savings, put it in an index fund. By the time you're like 40, 45, you'll have $1 million. You can live off $40,000 a year and you can, live in a box somewhere, right? But then like, I just remember being like, I don't want to wait till I'm 45. That's like 15, 20 years away. Like, what about real estate? And then you just buy a house hack. And you buy a house hack that cash flows $1,000 a month. Maybe these days it's a little bit less than that. But if you can just do that for 5 to 10 years, you're going to be living a pretty good life with real financial independence. And maybe your 401k doesn't have any money in it, but that's okay.
And that's exactly what I did. So after January 2020, I started looking into real estate. I spent my senior year in college running a real estate wholesaling company, and it's getting my feet wet. So I was trying to wholesale. I got a job as a property management maintenance coordinator, so I could get inside of houses and understand how that worked. I'd help out-of-state investors. I had a woman who was in California buying Airbnbs in Boise, and she needed to get them furnished. And so I'd pick her brain about real estate investing while I'm driving around to all the furniture stores with my FaceTime on my phone saying, do you like that couch? Do you like that bed? Do you like that? And just furnishing her house for her, just spending the year learning. And so I graduated, and I spent this whole year looking at different houses and learning about house hacking. So graduated college in May 21, and July of 21, my 22nd birthday, rolled out of bed, happy birthday. I went to the bank and I signed closing docs on my 4-family in St. Louis, Missouri.
Wow, amazing, dude. Allie, you know what this kind of sort of sounds like?
This sounds like the
For real
deal.
Ba-da-bow. All right, Donato, this is the first deal. I'm sorry, I can't say your name not like a robot, but this is like your first deal
You sound
that you've ever
Italian.
done. I know.
Donato.
Donato. And then it's like Callahan. Yeah, with just like the most Irish last name ever.
Yeah, hard right hook Ireland coming right at you.
Yeah. All right, Donato. So tell us about this first deal that you got in St. Louis, Missouri. It was a quadplex. How did you find it? How did you finance it? What were the numbers? Let's go deep.
Absolutely. So it was during my senior year of college, which was 2020, 2021, that I knew I was going to be moving to St. Louis when I graduated to work my job. So I called an agent in the area and said, hey, my name's Donato. I'm really early, but I want to get set up with an MLS search. Here are my criteria. Can you just start sending me some deals? I said, absolutely. And so whenever I got a deal, I built a really simple calculator. Just what's my monthly payment going to be, my utilities, my vacancy management, all those costs, what's my rent. So in 5 minutes, I could start practicing, is this deal going to cash flow or not? Because my only goal at that point was to buy a property where I would break even every single month. So at least I'm not dishing out cash for my housing. So it was about a month after I had graduated college in the June of 21, and this property came up for sale Friday at 5 p.m. And I ran it through my calculator, and I thought this one might be the one. It was a 4-family building listed for $265 in Tower Grove, south of St. Louis, Missouri. It was four units, 2-bedroom, 1-bath, shotgun-style units that were each 1,200 square feet. At that time, interest rates were pretty low, and so I was able to get pre-approved for an FHA 3.5% down loan at 2.375% interest rate. So what that meant is when I was buying the property, it was from a woman who had owned it for 40 years, hadn't done a lot of updating to it. She did do the windows, thank you very much. But the in-place rents in 2021 for a 1,200 square foot apartment, there was someone paying $450 a month. And with that interest rate, I knew that I could move into one of the units because there were 2 bedrooms, rent out the other bedroom to my buddy from college who was moving to St. Louis too, and get 4 units out of 4 units worth of cash flow, which allowed me to live rent free with every unit being rented for about $500 a month.
That's crazy. Real quick, when you say shotgun style units, can you explain what that means?
Yeah, shotgun style units essentially means that you can walk from one end of the apartment all the way through. And so there's no private rooms, meaning that to get to like the kitchen on one side, you have to walk through someone else's room to get there. Now the doors still close, but it's there is that walk through capacity. And the shotgun style means that if you were to stand on one side of the apartment and look through all 4 doors, walking through the entire thing, you could fire a shotgun all the way through the apartment and it hit the other side of it.
Whoa, really? So on the inside, you can see like all 4 units?
So it's when you walk into an apartment, you walk in the front door and there's a living room. And then there's the door that goes from the living room to the bedroom. It's basically all the rooms in the apartment are in a straight line. So you're walking, all in a straight line. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So a little bit of an awkward setup then.
A little bit awkward, pretty standard for St. Louis. This building was built in the early 1900s, and a lot of buildings in St. Louis were built in the late 1800s. So the style made sense back then. It's relatively more common, but yeah, definitely not something that you'd see being built today.
And you're starting this search when you're not yet in St. Louis. How did you figure out what area to move to, especially being honestly young, like young, maybe a tad, like a little bit naive, because it happens, you're excited to purchase the first one. You're just like, this one looks good on the inside. A lot of people, I realize, don't always look at the entire neighborhood. What were your criteria? What did you look for? And how did you, what resources did you use to narrow down neighborhoods?
Yeah, it was an absolute grind to figure that out. because at that point, all I knew about St. Louis was what I'd heard on, TV or just different, social media places that said, "Oh, St. Louis, watch out for crime, be careful." And there's just all this publicity about, St. Louis, and so it made me really nervous as someone who was investing out of state. How am I going to avoid the bad areas, not make a mistake that costs me tens of thousands of dollars, especially coming right out of college when I don't have that buffer zone? So one of the biggest criteria were it has to be in an area that has lower crime. The rents in the area have to be growing. Ideally, this is an area where other people are doing renovations and rehabs. So if I buy now, the property will be, appreciating over the next 5 and 10 to 15 years. On top of that, I want to buy in an area that has been appreciating and seen consistent increases in value. So if I buy at 265, maybe it'll be worth 400 to 500 in 10 or 15 years. So I was looking at all of those different components to kind of understand, is this the area that I want to be buying in?
Awesome. Thanks, Donato. So okay, one more question. So you mentioned the rooms were 450, or each place you rent out for 450. That I don't know St. Louis at all, but like that still seems ridiculously low, even 500. And so like, what is market rent for this place?
Yeah, so what ended up happening was I moved in and I was able to raise everyone's rent pretty immediately to about 550 for everyone living there, and that allowed me to break even every month. I was breaking even. I was completely good. Then, through the money that I was earning through my job and any extra cash flow that I got from the building, I just let it accrue in this bank account. And when the next unit got turned over, and I said, "Hey, I'm going to raise the rent," and they said, "Hey, I'm just going to move out," I went in and I did a remodel or really renovation. So we did new light fixtures and fans and safety and outlets and paint and some flooring and made it nice. And instantly, that one went from about $500 a month to $900. I'm like, okay, there's potential here. So I waited and I did it again. And I waited till the next unit turned over, waited till it turned over, and I released it. And I got that one to 1,000. Then the other ground floor unit, I moved out. The other ground floor tenant moved out. I moved from my unit into their unit, did a nicer rehab on the unit that I was just in, and I got that one leased out at $1,150. And so now, as of today, I have both of the upstairs units. I'm working with some short-term rentals and mid-term rentals, being able to get $1,000 a month for both the upstairs units. I have a nurse in my lower unit who's renting for about $1,150, and I'm cash flowing while living for free about $1,800 a month.
Wow, that is crazy. So, and what's the mortgage payment on that one? So, if you're cash flowing so what's your like $1,000?
My monthly PITI is about $1,500.
Okay, $1,500 of PITI, and then you got some for reserves and all that. So, I mean, that's a banger of a deal, especially. I mean, even in 2021, like prices were like on the rise at that point. And so, dang. So like, is that deal, could someone find a deal similar to that in St. Louis today?
I think that I highly, highly recommend that people's first deal, for especially younger getting started, is a house hack. And St. Louis is a great market to do it. A lot of older buildings, prices are still definitely low compared to the national median. You have a lot of that 4-family product that lets you get in there. And there's definitely a lot of areas which are seeing lower rents typically that have a lot higher market rate if you're able to get in those right deals. So I think absolutely you can get in. And if you're able to secure an assumable loan or do something like a subject to or creative finance deal to help secure that lower interest rate, I think St. Louis and other markets like it are a great way to come in and get some deals that work like that to get some awesome cash flow.
That's amazing. Allie, do you have anything to add that you want? I feel like I'm talking a lot, so I want to give you a chance to.
Oh no, I don't.
Your beautiful voice. No, okay.
Oh.
There it is. That's all we needed. Awesome, Donato. Okay, so this property, I mean, it sounds like it's good. It's situated. You're managing it yourself. You're doing some medium term and some long term type stuff in it. And so, did you buy a second one, or where are you at? What's next?
Yeah, so that's when I started asking more questions. So I had bought this property. I'm working for the Department of Defense, and at the same time, so this is fall of 2021, and I started learning about commercial multifamily. syndication and buying big apartment complexes. Because I thought if buying one 4-unit is great, buying 10 would be even better. But then I have 10 different roofs and I have, 10 different locations. So what if I could just put 10 of those buildings in the same building and just buy a bigger one? And so I started getting involved in commercial syndication and I joined this education group because coaching and courses and masterminds are a massive way that I was able to get my success today. So I spent the time, walked through and created a team to go out and find commercial multifamily buildings. And in a period of about 3 months, from about August to December of 21, my team looked at 96 different deals. And I was responsible for looking at the market research and figuring out, do we even want to buy in this city, state, neighborhood, zip code? Or do we just not like the way the market's going in that direction? And it was in January of 2022 that my team got our first property under contract. That was 172 units, $15.5 million in Texas, that we closed in the middle of, I think, July 2022. So I bought my first multifamily building. I was able to start getting into the syndication method. And since then, I've been on that track fully.
Wow. So you went from house hack to syndication?
Absolutely. Well, because it's the only thing that makes sense. I gotta spread the truth here, because I talk to people who start with bird dogging and they go to wholesaling. Okay, great, you're a wholesaler, and you're buying some long-term rentals. And at some point, it's like, well, I want more cash flow, so I'm going to mid-term or short-term rental. Like, okay, well, that's great, but the cash flow isn't as big. I want bigger deals, so I'm going to start getting into more larger units and more commercial stuff. Maybe I become a private lender. But everybody always ends up at some point doing big commercial buildings because those are the folks who are seeing the biggest equity, the biggest tax breaks, and the best overall scaling for a business, not just investing in real estate. And so I thought, why not just skip that 15-year period where I figure that out and just go straight to the big stuff and see if I can do it? And the answer is yes. And as we're recording this interview, I'm actually signing purchase and sale agreement on my next 200-unit building in San Antonio, Texas. Another $20 million acquisition will be closing this next quarter. So I'm full in.
Wow, dude, that's amazing. Well, good for you, man. Good for you. And so I'm like, how did you get the courage, I guess, to and like tell us about like the semblance of your team and all of that to go into this like much bigger asset class that a lot of people are absolutely terrified of, especially a $15 million purchase?
Yeah, the biggest, I guess, framework I can recommend to people is to ask why not instead of why. And it seems like a simple shift, but when I have to say, well, why should I spend the time to educate myself in this asset class that I've never heard about, that seems daunting, and I don't know if it's going to make me any money? And if instead you shift that to why not, all of a sudden you're putting the same amount of effort in to find the reasons, but instead of having to fight for the affirmative, you're fighting against the negative. And it just makes you much more likely to start trying things if your approach is why not. And so when I thought about multifamily, it's like, well, why not see if I can do this? Because at the end of the day, if I completely fail and I fall on my face, then I just go back to the small stuff and I'll just try buying another house hack and I'll, stick in that lane. But if it works out, then I just made a 20-year leap by leveraging the experience and wisdom and training of the people around me who are willing to pour into me and teach me on how to do this. So I tried. And so in assembling that team, all I had to do was start asking people, what is it that you do in the business? Have you been successful? And what is the part that you really don't like doing? And for them, the answer was market research, figuring out they even want to buy in the area and doing that analysis that takes hours and hours and hours of time. And so I put my hand up and said, I'll do that. Let me. And so that's why I added value, was why not try this out? And why not learn how to do the hard part that they don't want to do? And now the people that I started doing that work for, some of my closest friends, they actually ended up investing in my software company. And we become very close because I just decided to serve them in the way that they told me they needed to be served. And they taught me the business.
Dang. So were you able to become like a general partner in these deals just doing this market research?
Absolutely. Yep. So we had our small team. We had through that coaching group, we were able to get a group of 6 of us, and one person focused on finding the deals, and then I would focus on doing our quick and dirty, our sniff test. Is the area right? Do I even want to, spend more time on this asset, or is it just not in the location I want to be buying in? And then we'd have our numbers guy analyze it. Then we'd have a guy who could raise money, and we have some people who could do tech to make sure that our tech stack looked pretty good. And we just would find people in that space who are called sponsors who put the whole deal together. And then that's where we'd say, hey, we did the hard work. Now let's go buy it.
Which coaching group is this?
That was MFM. So Tyler Devereaux's multifamily mindset.
Nice. So yeah, so being surrounded by other people that are also on the same page, willing to do the work that the others don't want to do. That is how you get paid. As an entrepreneur, at least, or actually even an employee too. You're doing the work that others don't want to do. So in life, that's how you get paid. Cool. Okay. So I'm curious to know a little bit more about the software company. Unless Craig, you have more questions about the deals.
Yeah, real quick on the deals, because I want to get to the software company too. So you assembled your team through this thing, but like how much can you expect? Like how many ways are you splitting the pie? Because you've got 5 other people in the deal, and then you've got your limited partners, right? Which is it a typical, like, do you do the typical, like, what's the cap structure look like on a deal like this? Yeah.
One of the biggest questions people have about commercial multifamily is, well, how do you get paid? It's, there's all these different, cooks in the kitchen. How does that work? And so I'll break down some of the numbers. Typically in a syndication, it's a 70-30 split, which means the people who are doing the work, or the general partners in finding and organizing the deal, they own 30% of it. Or the limited partners, or the people who are providing the capital as passive investors, they own 70% of it. Now, the general partners, typically for all the time they spend, will charge some type of acquisition fee of usually 2 to 5% of the purchase price. Because these deals can be anywhere from 6 to 12 months of unpaid work, getting them all set up. And that is how the general partners first get paid. So if you have 10 general partners, you're all splitting that, let's say 5% acquisition fee. My share of that 5%, it was 20% of 20% of 30% for that 5% acquisition fee. So it's 20% of 20% of 30%, which is a tiny little piece. But that piece was over $35,000. Direct transfer wired to my bank account. So when I tell you that my 20% of 20% of 30% was 35 grand, you start to get an appreciation for the economies of scale that exist in the commercial multifamily space, where you can get paid tens of thousands of dollars for doing that work. You can get paid cash flow and an asset management fee while you're operating the deal. And then you get paid again when you sell it. So I can make $35,000 when I buy it and make close to $150,000 when I sell it in the same deal, with all of that under the umbrella of it being tax-free by using our K1s to offset our real estate passive income and losses. So that's where, when you talk about the only thing that makes sense, one deal gets me paid 4 different ways without having to pay taxes on that income, using the ability of cost segregation and depreciation. That's how the cookie crumbles.
Yeah. No. Okay. That's a really good way to put it. And I just wanted to I want people to know those numbers for real, because and I want them to know the whole story of, one, you're not going in it alone. You've got 5 other comrades, right? And it's almost required. You have to do that upfront payment. I'm sure it was probably a 5-figure program that you're part of. I know those aren't cheap. And so that's worth its weight in gold for sure, just the people that you meet. And then you're getting a small piece of a very large pie, and you've got going on now, 500 something units, and it's you got a sliver of 500 and something units. And I think that's really admirable, because every time one of those units sells, it's a pay. Every time they put rent into the bank account, it's a check. And so that's awesome, man. And congrats on making that big leap off just one little step.
Oh, well, thank you. And I got to be super, super clear to everyone listening. I'm only here because of the wisdom of the people who came before. And I'll shout it from the rooftops wherever I can. The only reason I got here is because I found 10 people who have been doing this for 10 years. And I asked, what would you do? So by the time I started, I had 100 years of wisdom guiding me. So I am simply someone who followed the path that they ran through the forest.
I love that, man. And I don't think you're special, because I think everyone does that. I can tell you that almost zero of my ideas are original. I just copy other people, right? Allie, are you the same way, or do you have original? Allie might be. She's smarter than all of us. But.
No, same thing. I actually recently heard like there are no like more or creative thoughts, like original thoughts. Like everything is now just recycled upon something that has already been done. Even in the AI like tech industry, like someone that thought has already been out there. Yeah, I don't know. Plus, like with your discipline and your grit, Layla Hormozy posted this recently about like successful people are those that are able to diminish the time between learning and action. And you join the crew, and immediately after, like I think it was like 4 or 5 months after, you took action, and that's exactly what it takes to be successful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We hope this episode is inspiring you to take action. If you're thinking about becoming a real estate agent or an agent who wants to join an investor-friendly team, just hit me up on Instagram at the Fi Guy, because we are growing our team in Denver, Seattle, San Diego, and Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, but also adding to our network in all 50 states. And if you didn't already know this, the Fi team provides a super supportive environment with one-on-one coaching, accountability, and ongoing training to help develop kick-ass, rock star, investor-friendly real estate agents. So hit me up on Instagram at the Fi Guy, shoot me a DM, and we'll set up a time to chat. Can't wait to chat with you. Okay, one last question. I'm sorry. I've got millions, but I'm going to keep it to one. So as you're doing this commercial stuff, right? You still have your job up until very recently, and so why not buy a house hack in conjunction with doing this commercial stuff, because you can do them at the same time? Because I'm still going to hold to, I think house hacking is the most efficient way to use your money, even if it's only 30 grand or whatever it is that you need for a down payment.
Absolutely. So it took me about 2 years worth of time to fully renovate all the units while I'm getting into work and starting to save up cash again. So I knew that I couldn't move around to Texas to go house hack next to these buildings. And for me, I needed to keep as much cash kind of stockpiled and growing to renovate my existing units while I was doing this, because I was also had my time split to my software company, and I was funding that as well. So my cash was going that direction. So I'll tell you now, especially with this new Fannie Mae product that launched in November, 5% down conventional for new 2 to 4 unit buildings, I am definitely looking at my next house hack. I'm going to keep house hacking every single time because it just makes too much sense. So that is exactly where my head's at for my personal portfolio. Absolutely.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. I just wanted to not lose sight of that. And then real quick, I don't think we ever got to the ARV on that quadplex.
Yeah. So last that I got it appraised through just a not official appraisal, picked it up I ended up offering $5,000 over purchase to secure it. So I bought it for $270,000. Last I checked, it's already at $330,000 in valuation, and that's before I did all my renovations on the inside with new flooring, kitchens, bathrooms, and safety upgrades. So I'd have to check, but my expectation is probably between $340,000 to $350,000 right about now.
Okay, awesome. So in these markets, you'll see that like the appreciation, it won't be the same, right, as it would be in Denver or in like San Antonio or Tucson, Arizona, like a real. I'm not gonna say St. Louis isn't a real city because it's as real as they get, but like it's more of like it's not an appreciation city; it's a cash flow city. And so just to set the expectation of like, yeah, you're getting $2,000 a month in cash flow, but the appreciation it's still pretty good, and there's forced appreciation, but it's not the same that you would get in some other larger cities, depending on where you're at.
It's definitely not me picking up a building for $200 and then putting some work into it and I'm selling it for like $550. And definitely not like that situation. It's one where someone who's really looking to make that house hacking leap from property to property, the inventory there is there, the cash flow is there. And if I'm going to hold it for 10 to 20 years, this thing will go up in value just slowly and steadily.
Perfect. Okay. Awesome. All right. I think we tied up all the loose ends now. Allie is like waiting on the edge of her seat. I can see her. She's chomping at her fingernails and Right. We want to hear about the software thing you got going on. So, Ali, I'm gonna pass it over to you and let you do some question asking here.
I want to hear about all the software stuff you have going on. Copying and pasting what Craig just said.
Perfect. Absolutely happy to. So we talked about how I was working for the DoD and I've got this house hack and I'm doing multifamily. And the way that I learned to provide value was I'm going to do the market research. Well, I quickly realized that it sucks. It takes a long time. There's 30,000 websites you have to jump between to get your answers. The data is always being updated and you don't know what to look for, what's important. And it was taking me so much time to be able to make these things happen. And what I care about is buying a deal and becoming financially independent. I want that result. That's what I care about. And so I instantly started thinking, how can I get that result easier and faster and bigger? And so I started thinking about, what if I could take all the information that I'm wanting to understand about a market and put it into one place so I could analyze my deals faster across the entire nation and then be able to get my success, my end dream result way, way, way faster. And so I started playing with it. And I created some prototypes of what this looks like. I was making some maps and I was saying, what if I took real estate data like the crime hotspots and made a map of St. Louis so an investor could say, here are the areas to avoid. And it took about a couple months of me playing with those prototypes before I met my co-founder, Drew McCluskey, who, big name in the Bigger Pockets community, worked with Brandon Turner personally. And we got connected on Facebook through a random Facebook comment. And we started doing weekly Zoom calls, just saying, hey, I'm a young guy, you're a young guy, let's talk about this. And after about 2 months of these Zoom calls, I said, Drew, I've been working on something. I'm doing multifamily. I have this idea to make this easier. Let me show you what I got. So I shared my screen on Zoom, showed him my prototype, and he said, Donato, you're not going to believe this, but I'm working on the exact same thing. And he shared his screen and he showed me his prototypes that he'd been working on personally with Brandon. And we went, there's no way that two guys who did not know each other 2 months ago, who randomly connected on Facebook, are working on the exact same idea. We have to do something about this.
No original thoughts,
No original thoughts. So within 3 months, we created our company, hired our first developers, raised our first seed capital, and Bright Investor was born. And since then, we worked on the first version of this software for 15 months to build out everything you need to know about a market into one place. And now, after having launched the early to middle of late last year, we've gotten feedback, we're getting more users, and this January, we are officially launching Bright Investor 3.0 with some massive, massive upgrades. So now on the platform, if you want to show me the highest appreciating area in Cincinnati, I can show you. If you want to say, show me the lowest crime area in Tucson, I can show you. What we're adding now is MLS direct access, off-market access, even things like wholesale properties. So you can go from, I don't even know where I want to invest, to I found the best area in the best city, and I can source deals directly inside the platform while running my rent comps, while checking it against crime, even making sure the appreciation's in the right area. And we've been able to help a lot of people on Bright Investor do things like raise private money, sell flips to other agents and other investors, even had agents who have been able to sell more deals because they proved to their clients that they knew the market so well that they had a golden opportunity. And we've seen people put offers on out-of-state, fully furnished midterm rentals because they got the confidence to invest by using Bright Investor. So it's been an amazing growth pattern, and over 1,500 people have been helped by using this platform.
Wow, dude, this is amazing. I'm kind of looking on your website now. So I feel like this is what everyone's been looking for a very long time. Like just everything all in one place, right? Like I remember, like you have to go to like city/data.com to get all your city data, and then you have to go to Rentometer, and then you have to go. Yeah, it's like you're like, you know what this is? It's like back in the day, like before Walmart and all those well, let's say before Walmart, right? People had to go to like the meat market to get meat, and then they had to go to like the dairy store to get dairy. And now you're just like, you know what? We're going to create Walmart and we're going to put it all in one place. And so I love that, man. So maybe you'll be the Walmart of real estate.
I'm a-okay with that. That sounds great. Because, bright investors are people who want success bigger and faster and more easily, and they know that there's a way to get that done. And so with this platform, like if you're going to Rentometer, we have Rentometer on our platform. If you're going to the census website to track, population growth, we have the census on our platform. It's about 25 different places that you would go, plus ones you've never even heard of, all in one place on an easy map, so you can see the success anywhere in the nation.
So just because you mentioned Rentometer, and there are probably other paid options where people would have to, pay to be part of Rentometer, pay to be whatever. In this case, would they just pay to be part of Bright Investor, and then they automatically get Rentometer info as well?
Exactly. So the way it kind of works is we went and we found the most vetted, trustworthy, nationwide providers of real estate information. And we started crunching the data. And the math shakes out like this. For someone to get access to all the same value that Bright Investor offers with one price of $99 a month, you would have to go to 25 sites and pay between $25,000 and $5,000 a month for that information. 25 accounts, 25 sites, 25 subscriptions, and you're going to pay about 25 times as much.
Dude, this is awesome. So like this kind of goes to like how old are you? You're like 23?
I'm 24.
24, right? Like
I wish I was 23. Like, oh man, if I knew now what I knew at 23, I'd be a gazillionaire.
people listening to you probably going to want to shoot you if they hear what you're to say. But it's just funny how you were like straight to action on the house hack, straight to action on the commercial, now straight to action on this. And like 15 months has been your longest tenured thing of ever, right? That you built this platform on. And now that it's like where you've got a lot going on. So like, where are you focused? Are you focused on the software company? You focus on multifamily? Or could the software company help you be a general partner in multifamily deals?
Yeah, so absolutely it does. So I built it with commercial multifamily investors in mind, and now we've expanded to serve people who are looking for long-term rentals and mid-term rentals and people who are investing out of state. But now, since I have been able to leave my job at the Department of Defense, I worked there for 2 years, and I left them back in September. Now my full-time focus is on my software company and my multifamily investing. And the cool part is, with my team that I work with, multifamily, we use Bright Investor to vet all of our deals. So it's an integral part of our process where someone sends me a lead and I check it in Bright Investor to see if I even want to be buying there. And if it doesn't pass that test, that doesn't even make it to our underwriters to analyze the deal, because it didn't even pass the market analysis test. So we've been able to analyze. I looked at 65 deals in 6 weeks when I introduced it to our team, because I could just quickly say no a whole lot faster. And the ones that are screaming deals that are yeses, I know a lot faster, which lets me get that to that point where we can make the offer. So my software company, Bright Investor, and multifamily go hand in hand, where they make each other better, where the investors tell me, here's what I want in the platform. And then they use the platform to get better investing, and it just ping pongs back and forth in making it grow and just kind of become a better result-driven process for everyone.
Super cool. And is this for all markets across the United States, or are you only in the top 25 cities or whatever?
We have data nationwide. So we have data in thousands of US cities. I think for our crime statistics, we are in 800 different cities across the US. It gets a little bit harder to have crime in the middle of small town Wyoming. It all depends on local laws and how much is available. But we have crime in hundreds and hundreds of cities. We have most of our data types. I think we have about 25 to 30 types of data on the platform now. We offer that nationwide. So there's no place that we can't give you some answers across the US.
Very cool. And this is a question that is not to do with real estate. It's more on like the venture capital side, because that was my previous life. So is it just angel investing, or did you have like some like a venture capital company backing you for the Series A?
No, so it's pretty much angel investing, friends, family, and bootstrapped. So we started off with an investment from my co-founder's family member, and my approach to it was, look, I'm a young guy. There is so much that I do not know, and just because I have an idea, on making a company, I had the idea back in college when I started my wholesaling business, and that failed. It didn't work out. I learned a lot of lessons, but it did not end up becoming the massive success I wanted it to be. So with the software company, I had an idea and I had the lessons, but I didn't feel good about going to a venture capitalist and saying, you should give me $1 million to build this. Because frankly, I had no idea what I was doing. And so what we did is we said, hey, family member, if you can give us this amount of money, we wanted to showcase that this could fund us for the first 4 months and let us prove to you that we can use this responsibly and we can make progress. And so that's what we did, is we'd raise a little bit of money, we'd do the work. And then we go to our other investors who are interested and say, hey, here's what we did for the last 4 months. We're looking to raise this money at a little bit higher valuation because the risk's gone down. And we've done that like 6 times. And I put my own capital in. We've used, credit cards. We've used other investor capital and slowly raised money as we needed it to grow, which has allowed us to be a really, really affordable company to run. And the mistakes that we do make are $500 to $1,000 mistakes, not $100 to $200,000 mistakes that you might get if you're running with an unlimited budget. So that's the approach we took. Because for better or for worse, and people may disagree with me, I felt that I had a lot to prove that I could be responsible in this new venture before being trusted with unlimited resources and time. And it's been over 2 years now. I've been able to grow my team to almost 10 people. I've even been able to hire my mom as my executive assistant. But it took 2 years of failing and learning and going through the ringer to learn how to grow a company to get to this point today.
I think that's really important. I think a lot of companies fail because they go out, raise a massive seed round, and then they hire everybody, and then they realize they can't make payroll in 6 months. But this is what Bigger Pockets did too, and that's why they grew maybe a little slower than like a venture capital backed company would, but they were just bootstrapped, right? It was like maybe a small investment, but Josh, the founder, he would just make sure that the income coming in from pro memberships or book sales or whatever would be able to satisfy that extra person. And so it sounds like you're doing that to, or maybe a small raising money, but at least it's within a reasonable, not crazy amount of way. So awesome, man. Donato, you're a very impressive. I almost just called you a young man, which then makes me sound like an old man. So I'm
Call
not
me
going to say
whippersnapper,
that.
Craig.
Yeah,
Do it.
yeah,
Call me
yeah.
whippersnapper.
I'm not old yet. I am not old yet. But you are a very. I can't believe that was like on the tip of my tongue. I caught myself.
It's okay.
Yeah,
Young blood. It's okay.
yeah, you're
It's
a young
good.
blood.
There we go.
But no, man, super impressive with everything that you're doing, and I'm gonna definitely go check out this Bright Investor for sure. I think it's about time though we head into the final part of our show. Ali, did you have anything else you wanted to ask Donato? I did it again. I tried to say it. Yeah.
I have one slightly unrelated to like real estate investors. When you were creating this, did you reach out to each of the like platforms that you're using? Is there a need to, or what does that look like when creating a platform, being like, hey, I'm going to be using Rentometer, I'm going to be using, all these different sources. Yeah. What did that look like?
So that's one conception we get when people look at Bright Investor for the first time is, hey, is this like just scraping data? And the answer is absolutely not. Those companies have spent a lot of time and money to create what they are and become the absolute powerhouses of data that fuel thousands of real estate investments every single month. So what I did is I went to those companies and said, I want to officially license your data. So I want to sign a contract with you all above board, and I want to make a partnership between us where I can use this information, and then I'm going to analyze it, and I want to visualize it on a really cool map so people can get all their answers in one. And they all go, that's a great idea. So we have official partnerships with all the people that you can think of in real estate to bring that information on our platform. And we're doing all the hard work of organizing it, visualizing it and making it super, super easy to get with the click of a button. And that is how we're able to work with people and really bring the power of Bright Investor to people nationwide who want to go buy that rental.
Nice. Thanks for explaining that. That's what I had. Now I'm ready to go to the
Final four.
The final four.
Wow, 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 wow. All right, Allie, kick us off.
What book are you currently reading?
I'm currently reading The Connector's Advantage, getting ready to go to a big multifamily conference in January. It's all about meeting other agents and brokers, and I'm brushing up on skill sets and how to be a great connector and create better relationships.
Nice. I'm going to put that on my list.
What is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Best piece of advice that I have ever received. I think I talked about it a little bit earlier, but why not? Especially for when I was thinking about these different opportunities. For someone who's in my position and a little bit younger, I have the bandwidth to fail. And so I owe it to myself to see what I'm capable of and start asking the question of why not? Because at the end of the day, if I fail, then my life stays the same. But if I succeed, untold opportunities to the life that I could be living open up to me. So ask why not?
Nice. What's your why?
My why started off with I want to spend time with my family. I recognized pretty early on that some of my favorite times are when my grandpa and I go out to the pool house and he lights a cigar and he offers me a cigar and we have a conversation that goes from, you're doing all right, kid. Keep your head above water, get good grades, stay in school. And then it goes to, I shouldn't have sold my company back in 96. And it goes over to his political rant. And it's the same process every time. But those moments where I get to sit and enjoy time with him, or I'm playing board games with my family at our board game table, I don't ever want another person's schedule or my lack of finances or my personal lack of preparation to prevent me from doing the things at the places with the people that I want to do. And so at this season of life where I have the capacity to ask why not, I owe it to myself, my future spouse, my future kids, and my family to put myself in a position where I can choose them every single time.
That's a great why. That's a very well said why. What's your favorite board game?
Bro, okay, hold on. It's like I don't have children yet. That's like asking me to pick a favorite child. Okay, so to the audience, out there, there's a couple of games I love: Lords of Waterdeep, Res Arcana, Nemesis, and for my board game enthusiasts out there, Twilight Imperium. My 21st birthday, this is for some context, I spent it playing 14 hours of space-based conquest game, Twilight Imperium, and I capped it off with a glass of Merlot and stargazing in the backcountry of Idaho. That's what I do. And board games that's how I spend my time. I'm throwing dice and I'm getting victory points all day long.
There you go. That's amazing. Wow, dude, I love it, man. I love the passion behind literally everything you do, whether it's a house hack, whether it's multifamily, your commercial, your company there, your software, or board games. All right, last question, man. What do you think when someone responds in a text message with just 2 letters? Okay.
Okay, there's like a couple different ways to say okay. Like if it is capital O, K-A-Y, exclamation mark, they're excited, they're in a positive mood. If it's just okay, lowercase o, they're a little frustrated, a little like, okay, not emotional, my response. But if it's just an okay, that person is usually pissed off at you and they're trying to end the conversation really quickly. It's only slightly better than okay with a period, because that's them trying to just be, we're done with this. So okay by itself is usually someone I do not have a relationship with, so I don't have that vibe yet with them, or it's someone who's like, I'm done with this. And that's when you got to go, okay, question mark. You got to text me okay? Clearly this is not okay. Let's talk. Talk with Donnie boy. Come on, let's figure this thing out. That's how I'd answer that. Is that an okay answer? That's okay with an okay. Exclamation mark, by the way.
I'm gonna give you okay 2 letters with an exclamation point just to throw it all for a loop.
Man, that's okay, man. That's tertiary right there. Okay.
Yeah.
I also find it's very, very particular on who it's coming from. Because if it's somebody our age, 100% I agree with you. If it's somebody older, it's just like, like their texting versus their phone call conversation, so different, so different. There was one time I was like, a lot of times, I'm texting with like older agents. They're just like, okay, or thumbs up, like the actual, thumbs up. It's just like, if you were our age, I would find this dismissive. But because you're older, I understand that you just don't really know texting etiquette. It's okay. Exclamation point.
Absolutely. It's okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was going to clarify that. See, that you got to account for that silver age coefficient. You get over 55, now all of a sudden there's a whole new lens you got to play with. You got to carry the one, double the exponents, bring the parentheses, whole new language to talk about there. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny that people talk about this. Like there was one time my wife Grace, she texted me back like, and she was probably in a rush. Okay. And or just even if it's just one word response, even if it's just like a yes or a no, I'm like, oh, she's mad at me, or like, oh, they don't like me anymore, or like I get like super like, I'm like, you need at least, you got to give me an exclamation point. Or now like Grace starts to do this thing, it's okay, i.e. like okay kind of thing, and I'm like, okay, I know you're not mad at me, that's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
So I just like, I need something. Yeah.
Yeah, that millennial and Gen Z, like I can tell by the number of exclamation marks whether or not I got a passing grade in our relationship today. So I gotta know. I need those exclamation marks and capital letters to make that happen. Oh my gosh. Absolutely.
Yes. Amazing. Absolutely. All right. Donato, Donny Boy, Donatello, Domo Arigato. Where can people find you?
People can find me on Instagram at Donato_Callahan. You can go to our website, brightinvestor.com, and we have a chat messaging system, so you can just send our team a message and just a chit chat when you get in touch with us. Or you can send me an email at donato@brightinvestor.com. Or, in a shameless self-plug here, because I just recently figured this out, you can Google me. And if you look up Donato Callahan, I'm like the first 40 results. So you can just click on one of those and hopefully you'll see this podcast, and all my social medias will be there as well.
There you go. Just make sure you send them a message with just okay, no punctuation.
If you do that, I'll know that Craig and Allie sent you.
Awesome, Donato. Well, hey, thanks so much for coming on the show, man. This has been tons of fun. Pleasure having you, and truly inspired by everything that you're doing. And I'm definitely going to go check out your software. So thanks again, man. And we'll talk soon.
That sounds perfect. Thanks so much for having me. And yeah, Bright Investor 3.0 launches January 25th. Get excited for it. And thanks for having me on today.
Let's go. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
And that was Donato Arigato, Mr. Roboto. Allie, what did you think of Donato?
He's such a cool cat. I like him a lot. I feel like I need to get speech lessons from him. The way he's able to articulate and answer every question is admirable at the young whippersnapper age of 23. Was that the word?
Whippersnapper age of 24. Yeah. Yeah, it's insane. Like I think it actually makes me feel really good right now that like we're oldies, right? Like in our 30s and all that good stuff. And like when we started, like I think I first started learning about real estate when I was 24, maybe 23. And I was like, man, I'm so young. I'm so pumped to be learning about this now. But now, because of everything that's, because of like our generation of influencers, right? We're getting people to get started in real estate that are like 17, 18 years old that can now start taking action immediately and having the results that we're seeing now at 30, they're going to start having them at 23, 24. So I just think that's like, it just means we're progressing and we're doing our job, and I love it.
Yes, me too.
Awesome. And so, what did you think of, so yeah, Donato, like young dude, super motivated. Love that he's very courageous, I would say, in going from house hack to multifamily to now building a software company. He's a very impressive guy. Do you have anything you want to?
Yeah, to be able to skip like he said, skip level 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and just go from level 1 to level 15, because that's what the end goal of his is anyway. So might as well just go there. Why delay what you want to do? Just start going after it, and that's he even talks about, that story of him talking to his coworker of they both had the same goal, but one wanted to go through every single level. And he was like, no, that's not for me. Let me just get to the end goal right now and get after it. So really, really enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, I really do too. This guy's he's wise beyond his years. Really impressed with everything he's doing. Definitely make sure you go check out his website, Bright Investor, just brightinvestor.com. And go check him out on Instagram as well. This is just his name, Donato_Callahan. And yeah, if you guys like the show, again, please leave us a rating and review. You can always hit us up on Instagram as well. I'm the Fi Guy. Allie is
Allie, the agent, spelled ALI.
ALI, not Alexandra the agent, because that would sound weird. Thank you guys all so much for listening. I hope you all enjoyed it, and we'll see you all next time.
That's it for this episode of Investify. We hope that these nuggets of real estate wisdom lead to more savvy financial planning and a clearer path towards financial freedom. For more content like this, subscribe to the show at investify.com. Don't forget to leave a rating and share it with your friends. Together, we can transform more real estate newbies into successful and clever investors. Thank you so much for listening. See you on the next one.